Beware Article 5, Part 3, and FOAVC response. The JBS lies, ratification, and rescission. In this section of the JBS video, the John Birch Society attempts to lie about rescissions of applications and about ratification of proposed amendments. We will present the facts and correct the lies in this John Birch Society propaganda video.
Threatening to use a constitutional convention to secure a balanced budget amendment from Congress is like using a thermonuclear device to destroy an iceberg. If you can bring yourself to the preposterous position of saying, well, yes, we did have a runaway convention in 1787, but it can't ever happen again, please first consider these additional remarks of Stanford Law School professor Gunther. Quote, "A convention once called would be in the same position as the only other convention of this kind that we have had in our history. The 1787 Constitutional Convention that proposed the Constitution that we live under today and whose bicentennial we celebrated so recently. The Philadelphia Convention, too, was in effect a runaway convention." Ending the quote.
The intent of JBS is obvious. Imply an Article 5 convention will be a runaway based on the undocumented personal opinion of one legal scholar, which public record proves is incorrect.
However, that helpfulness in other areas of state government cannot justify their position in resisting rescission of con applications in light of the crushing weight of legal opinion concerning the dangers created by leaving these applications in an active condition. The issue was handled superbly by Rex E. Lee. He stated, quote, "My opinion concerning whether under Article 5 of the United States Constitution, a constitutional convention called to consider a particular issue could be limited either by congressional directive or otherwise to that single issue. The only safe statement that could be made on this subject is that no one knows. But the only relevant precedent would indicate that the convention could not be so limited. Anyone who purports to express a definitive view on this subject is either deluded or deluding." Ending the quote. Convention advocates have touted the ratification process for amendments as an adequate safety net to prevent adoption of bad amendments. They claim that there is no danger of a constitutional convention having the authority to change the Constitution. All it can do is propose amendments. It cannot enact them, they assert. They place total reliance on a great safety net called ratification. Any amendments proposed by a convention must go to the states for ratification, they have erroneously claimed. Remember that the ratification process was not sufficient to stop the runaway convention which met in 1787. The delegates were called to meet in Philadelphia for the sole and express purpose of revising the Articles of Confederation and reporting to Congress and the several legislatures such alterations and provisions therein. Yet it did not take the delegates long to assume upon themselves more powers than what they had been given. to scrap the Articles of Confederation and to propose a totally different system of government. As they finished their work, they faced a serious problem. The Articles of Confederation were still in full force and effect. Any amendments to that document had to be ratified by the Congress as well as by each and every one of the legislatures of the 13 states. The founders knew the politics of their day. It was impossible. To overcome the problem, they agreed to ignore the clear requirements of the law under which they operated. They rewrote the rules of ratification so that the chances of approval were improved. They provided that 9 states were sufficient to put the new Constitution into effect. And since the founders anticipated resistance to ratification in the state legislatures, they further changed the rules of ratification so that it could be accomplished in special ratifying conventions called only for that purpose. The new Constitution did not have to face hostile state legislatures in order to be approved. While the new Constitution has provided the world's best government, it was nevertheless adopted in complete disregard of the rules of ratifications which were in effect. The governing rules of ratification were totally ignored and disregarded once in our history. Who can say with a straight face that it can never happen again? A new convention could rewrite the rules of ratification for a new Constitution just as it could rewrite or eliminate any other part of the Constitution as we now know it. It has already happened once. Among the assurances offered by convention advocates that bad amendments can't happen is their claim that Congress can refuse to send what they call unauthorized amendments out for ratification. This claim is too silly to receive much consideration. Unauthorized by whom? There is no such thing as an unauthorized amendment. Once a convention is called, it is authorized to propose whatever it chooses. If anyone offers you this foolish argument, ask him to show you where in the Constitution Congress is given the power to withhold an amendment proposed by a convention from the ratification process. No such power exists.